Hi everyone, it's Kel and I'm here to talk to you about the Kundalini. And today I want to talk about post-Kundalini and how the world view tends to shift after the Kundalini. Um, and of course I can only speak about my own experiences. Everybody has their own. My experience, I have to say, are kind of the classic versions. As the more research I do, the more research I see that, you know, thinking and feeling the same things that others have in the past who have done the Kundalini to the extent that I've done it. And when it comes to the worldview shifting, I have to say that it was difficult to come back to live in this world for me. It was, I mean, that's why I live in the middle of nowhere on a farm, uh, you know, making kombucha. Uh, I could not take the world anymore. I was completely done with everything. However, the more I look into the reasons why, the more I just realize that I didn't really have any more desires. Once you know the truth, the desires drop off because you know those desires are false and you see them for what they are. And it's a harsh wake up, but it is what happens. So, that's my worldview went to this sort of outward idea to understanding the inward mechanics of everything that's going on and the reality that is coming, and the reality that is coming is beautiful, um, and the reality is centered awareness, and centered awareness is seeing everybody as you see yourself, respecting everybody as you respect yourself, and loving everybody as you love yourself. And truly loving the self is the biggest thing you can do, because once you love the self, you naturally love everybody. Anything you do for yourself is reflected outward. So learning about the self is really the key to having a good life. I mean, that is where the true joys lie. And this path, you never finish it. You never really, okay, well, I've really done the self, I'm completely done. I mean, for me, when I did the Kundalini and I really united with myself, I think I came back more confused than when I had left. So it's really finding that middle point after you do the Kundalini, finding that that centered grounding point that you can really adhere to, that you really feel that's you. And that I am getting off topic here. The worldview, once you have after you have the Kundalini and you understand the mechanics behind everything you see the imbalance in mind. So you see the imbalance in mind all over the globe. You see the creators going off on tangents, owning everything, feeding themselves of this outward world. But you can feed yourself in this outward world. The sustenance is not juicy like that of the inward world. It's like eating and you're always hungry for more when you're feeding yourself of the outward world. But when it's balanced with the inward world, you get to a point of satisfaction. And it's that satisfaction that we all want and that we're all searching for. So the worldview shifted to the outside world, to being of the internal world, and I became greatly interested in all that I cannot see. And of course, I dumped myself into science for many years and finally realized that that is not the place to be. There is a balance that needs to be had. Um, so the shifting of the worldview goes from world to self, because the realization is such that everything small is everything large. So how small can you go? Well, you can go down past quantum physics. You can. And when you get there, you realize that the how do I even say that word? Infinitesimally small is also the infinitesimally grand. Did I say that right? Okay. The super tininess of life that you cannot even see is happening in the largest way that we can see, because everything is happening in the same way. And when you understand this huge continuum of everything being the same, moving in the same way from here to there, you find out where you are on that pendulum, and that's where you center yourself. You go, okay, what in this huge paradigm that's being repeated, what can I use to help myself and thus help others? So that's where I ended up. So the worldview kind of became nothing but a dramatic opera that is going on, while the truth of everything is very quiet and very underlying. I think I was talking to somebody this morning about, no, yesterday, about the bomb in Hiroshima years ago, and I was talking about the explosion versus the implosion. And the explosion is sort of the surface of everything, you know, the dance, it's the mind, it's this. But the implosion of things, that's the receptive force, that's the things that you cannot see. And that is the amount of power that is there. It was in the bomb, it was the implosion that did the most damage. And we can see this in nature. When a nature is left unbalanced for a certain amount of time, she will go to chaos to make things right. And it's the feminine force that holds the power, and it's not that the force is feminine, it's that's the archetype, because many religions define it as a male force, and there's reasons they do that. I found out. However, for me, the feminine and masculine is it's so much easy to describe so many things in life by pointing out that's the father force, that's the mother force. So I tend to use the archetypes of male and female. So yeah, so I became obsessed or interested in the quiet, silent backdrop that we cannot see, that is behind all the light that we do see. And I think many people who have this experience go in that direction because they realize that's the part worth knowing, and that all the outward stuff that you see is only the outward of something that is how do I say this better? The outward force is not as powerful as the internal force. So the inner self, the inner world, the depths that you can go there to get true knowledge become very worthwhile. And it's not that I'm going into these deep places every day in meditation, but the depths of going inward serve us in everyday living. We see more the beauty of the flower on the kitchen table, the shape of a spoon, the temperature of your tea. The life becomes richer, and yet it doesn't change. So it's really perception. Your perception becomes altered and more geared to this deep inner world than being affected by the media and the things that are going on the television. And once we begin to turn our phone and TVs off, we go through a period of erraticness, but then we come to calmness. And when we come to calmness, we become more centered. And when we become more centered, we become more grounded. And when we're more grounded, this internal world begins to open up. And it's this internal world that carries the beauty of life. And the beauty of life is so fulfilling and so rewarding in so many ways, even though we're not, driving a Lamborghini or living in a villa in the south of Spain or, any of these things. The richness that we open ourselves to is the true richness of life that does not hinge on any material things. And it is rich. It is rich, it is rewarding, and it is beautiful. And that is the change from the worldview to the inner view. And that is really worth having. And I mean, truly, you don't have to do the Kundalini to get to that. You can get to it just by working at quietness and centeredness every day, for sure. But there is a resonance after having the Kundalini. There is a resonance that might tend to be a bit richer. And I don't want to cause any segregation. I feel that people can get to this richness through a variety of ways. I have experienced in different ways prior to the Kundalini, but certainly after the Kundalini, I guess my consciousness was just more ready or more attuned to it. And like I said, that's just for me. We're all individual, for sure, but we're all human, and we share a lot. And for sure, there's been such a great accent on being individual and being special, and there's no doubt that everybody on this planet is special. But at the same time, we are all the same, and there's such a beauty in sameness. There's such a beauty in realizing that we're all the same, because we work harder to relate to each other, and it seems easier, and it's so fulfilling relating to one another. So anyways, I hope you got something out of this video as I talk about how my worldview was changed to that outwardly to be more of an inward reflection. Also having this inward reflection, I notice that I am directed around controversy in my life, and I am directed around any kind of trauma situation. I am led around a different way where I didn't even know trauma was there, because I was led in a different direction. And the more we hone to our inner worlds, the more we go on autopilot. And who is leading us on autopilot is this deep invisible force, this female archetype, the mother who wants to protect and direct you through your life towards all harmonies for you. So there you have it, worldview, outward to inward. And I hope you got something out of this, and have a great day wherever you are. Bye for now.